The quantum sensors aboard the Confederation survey vessel Eternal Seeker weren't supposed to detect anything in this region. Sector 117 had been designated a cosmic dead zone centuries ago, a vast expanse of space with no habitable worlds, no valuable resources, and certainly no intelligent life. Yet here was Chief Observer Kilara, staring at readings that defied everything she knew about the universe. "Captain Morix, you need to see this," she called out, her crystalline antenna vibrating with barely contained excitement. The captain, a veteran of the Confederation's exploratory fleet, glided across the bridge on his gravity cushion, his iridescent scales reflecting the soft blue light of the ship's interior. The signal pulsed on her display, that perfectly structured quantum sequence that couldn't possibly be natural. What made it extraordinary wasn't just its existence in this empty sector, but its complexity. It was operating on 7 different quantum frequencies simultaneously, something that even the Confederation's most advanced systems couldn't achieve. "Run a full spectrum analysis," Captain Morix ordered, his usual confidence wavering slightly. "And check the historical archives. Something about this feels familiar." The ship's AI complied instantly, its crystalline core humming as it processed the request. The results appeared moments later, causing both Kilara and the captain to freeze in disbelief. "Sir," Kilara whispered, "the signal matches patterns described in the ancient records, specifically in the myths about humans." The word hung in the air like a forbidden spell. Humans, the legendary species that supposedly predated even the Confederation itself. Stories claimed they had achieved impossible technological feats before mysteriously vanishing, leaving nothing behind but tales that most serious scholars dismissed as pure fantasy. Captain Morix's scales shifted to a pale blue, indicating deep thought. "Myths don't generate quantum signatures, Chief Observer. Initiate first contact protocols." Before Kilara could acknowledge the order, the signal changed. New patterns emerged, complex mathematical sequences that seemed to be responding to their presence. They weren't just detecting a signal, they were being detected. The ship's holographic displays suddenly burst to life, projecting an image that made the entire bridge crew gasp. A space station materialized before them. A massive structure that had been completely invisible moments before. Its design was unlike anything in Confederation records. Smooth, organic curves blended with geometric precision, and it seemed to shimmer with an inner light that defied physical laws. "Confederation vessel," a voice transmitted in perfect universal standard. "Welcome to Hudson Station. We've been expecting you." The calm, almost amused tone of the transmission sent shivers through Kilara's exoskeleton. They had been expected, in a sector that was supposed to be empty. "This is Captain Morix of the Eternal Seeker. Identify yourself," he managed to respond, his training taking over despite his shock. "Of course, Captain. I am Director Sarah Chen of the Human Diplomatic Corps. We've been watching your civilization's progress for quite some time. We believe you're finally ready for a proper introduction." The implications of those words hit Kilara like a gravitational wave. Humans weren't just real. They had been observing the Confederation all along, their technology so advanced they could hide entire space stations from the most sophisticated detection systems. Captain Morix's scales had shifted to a deep purple, a color Kilara had never seen him display before. "Director Chen," he said carefully, "are you saying that humans have been studying us?" A soft laugh came through the comm system. "Captain, we've been studying everyone. The galaxy is a dangerous place. We needed to be certain that when we revealed ourselves, it would be to a civilization ready to handle what we have to share." As if to emphasize her words, new structures began appearing around the station. Ships, satellites, and other installations, all previously hidden by technology that shouldn't exist. The dead zone was anything but dead. It was the hidden heart of an empire that had been watching and waiting. Kilara's scientific mind raced with questions. How had they achieved such perfect quantum masking? Why reveal themselves now? And most importantly, what other impossible things were humans capable of? Your confederation has achieved remarkable things, Director Chen continued, but there's so much more to discover. We've prepared comprehensive data packets for your scientists, politicians, and military leaders. Consider this the beginning of a new era for both our peoples. Captain Morik straightened himself to his full height, his scales settling into a formal pattern. Director Chen, on behalf of the Confederation, I accept this contact. However, I must ask, why now? Why reveal yourselves after staying hidden for so long? There was a pause before Chen responded, and when she did, her voice carried both warmth and warning. Because, Captain, what's coming requires us to stand together. The galaxy is about to change, and humanity has decided it's time to stop watching from the shadows. The Confederation's Grand Assembly Hall had never been this crowded. Representatives from all 37 member species packed the crystalline chamber, their diverse forms creating a living tapestry of colors and shapes. At the center of it all stood Ambassador Elena Torres, the first human representative to address the assembly, her simple black uniform standing in stark contrast to the elaborate ceremonial garments of the alien diplomats. High Chancellor Vex, his serpentine body coiled around the speaker's pillar, studied the human with all four of his eyes. In the 3 months since first contact, the Confederation's best minds had been analyzing the data packets provided by the humans. What they found had shaken the foundations of their scientific understanding. You're telling us, Vex began, his translator converting his sibilant speech to universal standard, that your species has achieved stable quantum manipulation at a macro scale. That's theoretically impossible. Ambassador Torres smiled, a gesture that many species in the chamber found simultaneously fascinating and unsettling. Chancellor, we found that impossible is often just a limitation of perspective. Would you like a demonstration? Before anyone could respond, Torres raised her hand. The air around her shimmered, and suddenly she was standing on the opposite side of the chamber. There had been no visible movement, no technological device activated. She had simply relocated. The chamber erupted in chaos. Security drones activated automatically, their sensors trying and failing to detect how the human had moved. Species that communicated through color patterns were flashing in patterns that indicated extreme distress. Please, remain calm. Torres's voice carried easily over the commotion. What you just witnessed was a simple application of quantum positional translation. Every particle in the universe exists in multiple states simultaneously. We've simply learned how to select which state becomes reality. Science Minister Krull, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix, pulsed with intense curiosity. But the energy requirements, the computational power needed to calculate all possible quantum states, would be beyond anything the Confederation has achieved. Torres completed the thought. Yes, that's why we waited to reveal ourselves. Your civilization is just now approaching the theoretical framework needed to understand our basic technology. A low murmur rippled through the assembly. The implications were staggering. If this was what humans considered basic technology, what were they capable of at their most advanced? We've reviewed your historical records, declared Representative Morn of the warrior Kresh species, his armored carapace gleaming. There is no trace of human civilization in any archaeological record, no evidence of your development. How is this possible? Torres' expression grew more serious. That's because we chose to develop in what you called the dead zones, regions of space your sensors couldn't penetrate. We've been practicing quantum state manipulation for so long that we can maintain entire star systems in alternative quantum states, invisible to conventional detection methods. The revelation sent another wave of shock through the assembly. The implications were terrifying. How many other dead zones were actually hidden human territories? And now you choose to reveal yourselves, Chancellor Vex observed, his scales shifting in a pattern that indicated deep thought. Why? Torres gestured, and a holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber. It showed a region of space at the galaxy's edge, where something was wrong. The very fabric of space-time appeared to be unraveling. Because of that, she said simply, we've detected a threat that neither humanity nor the Confederation can face alone. Something is coming from beyond the galaxy's edge, something that doesn't just bend the laws of physics, it breaks them entirely. Science Minister Krell's crystalline form pulsed with alarm patterns. Our long-range sensors have detected no such anomaly. Your sensors wouldn't, Torres explained. You're still working with conventional space-time detection methods. This threat exists partially outside normal space-time. We've been tracking it for centuries, preparing for its arrival. That's why we developed our quantum manipulation technology in the first place, as a defense against what's coming. Chancellor Vex uncoiled himself to his full height, a gesture of formal authority. You speak of threats and defense, yet you have hidden among us, watching from the shadows. How can we trust that your intentions are truly collaborative? Torres' response was immediate and direct. Because, Chancellor, we're offering to share everything. All our technology, all our knowledge. We've already begun transmitting the foundational principles to your scientific institutes. Your scientists will soon confirm that everything I've said is true. Humanity doesn't seek dominion over the Confederation. We seek alliance. The chamber fell silent as the weight of her words sank in. Access to human technology would revolutionize every aspect of Confederation society. But it also meant accepting that everything they thought they knew about the universe was just the surface of a much deeper reality. And what do humans want in return for this generosity? Asked Representative Morn, his warrior's instincts still suspicious. Torres turned to face the entire assembly, her expression grave. What we want is survival. For all of us. What's coming doesn't discriminate between human, Kresh, or any other species. Either we stand together, or we fall separately. The choice is yours. General Krivax of the Kresh Defense Force had never believed in the peaceful approach. As his stealth fleet of 30 warships dropped out of hyperspace near the human research station Omega, he allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The Confederation might be willing to trust these humans, but the Kresh understood power. And power needed to be tested. All ships maintain quantum dampening fields. He ordered through the neural link. Begin approach vector. The Kresh had spent decades developing their stealth technology. Not even the Confederation's best sensors could detect their ships when fully cloaked. His flagship's tactical display showed the human station, a graceful structure of curved metal and crystalline spires that somehow managed to look both delicate and imposing. Intel suggested it was a crucial research facility, studying the anomaly the humans claimed threatened the galaxy. More importantly, it was isolated, far from any known human military installations. Sir, his second-in-command's thoughts carried a note of confusion. We're detecting no defense systems, no shields, no weapon emplacements. The station appears completely unprotected. Krivax's warrior mandibles clicked in amusement. Either the humans were fools, or their arrogance had finally betrayed them. Launch probing attack. Target their communication arrays first. Let's see how these advanced beings handle real combat. The first salvos of plasma torpedoes streaked toward the station. Krivax expected many things. Emergency shields activating, hidden weapons appearing, calls for surrender. What he didn't expect was nothing. The station remained exactly as it was, its surfaces still gleaming in the light of the nearby star. Then his tactical officer's thoughts exploded in panic. Sir, the torpedoes, they're passing through the station, as if it's not even there. Before Krivax could process this information, a new voice filled the command deck, calm, almost amused. General Krivax, this is Dr. James Chen of Omega Station. I must say, your stealth technology is quite impressive. 20 years ago, we might have actually had trouble detecting your approach. Krivax's blood ran cold. The voice was coming through their secure command channel, a channel that used quantum encryption that should have been unbreakable. How? How are we talking to you? How did we detect you? How is your weapon's fire passing through our station? Chen's voice carried a hint of laughter. The answer to all three is the same. What you're seeing isn't really here. Hasn't been for about 6 hours, since our sensors first detected your fleet's hyperspace entry signature. The tactical display suddenly updated, showing hundreds of new contacts appearing around Krivax's fleet. Human ships of various sizes and configurations, all of them previously invisible, now surrounded his forces completely. You see, General, Chen continued, we've been expecting something like this. There's always someone who needs to test the new species, to probe for weaknesses. We understand. It's human nature too, or I suppose in this case, Kresh nature. Krivax's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme stress in his species. If you detected us hours ago, why allow us to approach? Educational purposes. A new voice joined the channel. Ambassador Torres, the human representative he had seen at the assembly. Your attack gives us an opportunity to demonstrate something important. Dr. Chen, would you do the honors? Gladly, Ambassador. General, please observe your tactical display. Krivax watched in horror as his ships began to disappear from the screen, one by one. Not destroyed, simply gone, as if they had never existed. In seconds, only his flagship remained. Don't worry, Chen assured him. Your ships and crews are perfectly safe. We've simply relocated them. They're currently in orbit around your homeworld's moon, where I believe a Confederation peacekeeping fleet is waiting to greet them. Impossible, Krivax whispered. The energy required to transport entire ships across such distances is considerable, Torres agreed. But necessary. General, we didn't reveal ourselves to the Confederation to conquer or dominate. We did it because unity is necessary for survival. But unity requires trust, and trust requires understanding. A new hologram appeared on Krivax's command deck, a real-time image of the anomaly the humans had warned about. But now he could see it clearly, in ways his own sensors never could. The void between galaxies was being consumed, reality itself unraveling at its edges. This is what's coming, General. Chen's voice grew serious. Not in centuries or decades, but months. We need the Kresh. We need your warriors' courage and tactical brilliance. But we need you as allies, not enemies. The hologram expanded, showing simulations of what would happen when the anomaly reached their galaxy. Krivax watched as entire star systems simply ceased to exist, erased from reality itself. Your ship's quantum drive has been temporarily disabled, Torres informed him. You have two choices. Return to the Confederation under your own power at sublight speed, which will take approximately 3 weeks, or accept an immediate quantum translocation back to your headquarters. Either way, we trust this demonstration has made our position clear. Krivax stared at the simulation still playing before him, his warrior's mind finally grasping the true scale of the threat humanity had been preparing to face. His mandibles moved in the pattern of formal submission. Translocation accepted, Ambassador. And message received. The dimensional observatory at Earth's lunar base Alpha was unlike anything the Confederation delegation had ever seen. The chamber was a perfect sphere of shifting, opalescent material that somehow existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously. High Chancellor Vex, General Krivax, and Science Minister Krell floated in its center alongside Dr. Sarah Chen, watching as reality itself unfolded before them. What you're about to see, Dr. Chen explained, is why humanity went into hiding for so long. Computer, initiate timeline revelation protocol. The sphere's interior transformed, showing Earth as it was 5,000 years ago. The delegates watched in fascination as human civilization developed, but then something unexpected happened. The timeline split, showing 2 parallel paths. In the original timeline, Chen continued, humanity developed conventionally. We achieved spaceflight, colonized our solar system, and eventually made contact with the early Confederation. But then we detected something that changed everything. The display shifted to show the galaxy's edge, where a familiar distortion was forming. But this version was different, more advanced, more destructive. "We call them reality devours," Chen said softly. "In the original timeline, they reached our galaxy 3,000 years ago. The combined forces of humanity and the early Confederation fought bravely. But," she paused, her expression grim, "we lost. Not just the war, everything. The devourers don't just destroy matter and energy. They consume probability itself. They erase things from ever having existed." The delegation watched in horror as the simulation showed entire civilizations vanishing, not through destruction, but through deletion from the timeline itself. "But how are we seeing this if it happened?" Krell pulsed with confusion. "How can you know of events that were erased?" "Because we cheated," a new voice announced. Admiral James Jung, Supreme Commander of Earth's Temporal Defense Force, entered the chamber. "We found a way to preserve information through temporal erasure by storing it in quantum packets that exist outside normal spacetime. When we realized we couldn't win conventionally, we implemented the ultimate contingency." The display shifted again, showing a massive technological undertaking. Humanity, in its final moments, had constructed enormous temporal engines. "We used the last of our civilization's energy," Zhang continued, "to send a single packet of information back in time. The complete knowledge of everything we had learned about the devourers, along with the key technological breakthroughs we'd made in fighting them. We sent it to ourselves, 5,000 years in the past, with one mission: prepare better." Chancellor Vex's scales shifted in patterns of disbelief. "You're saying that your entire civilization, your hidden development, your quantum technology, was all developed with future knowledge?" "Yes," Chen confirmed. "We received the warning and understood we had to take a different path. We withdrew from normal space, developed our technology in secret, and watched over the galaxy's development. We needed the Confederation to develop naturally, to reach a point where you could understand and help implement the defenses we've designed." "The dead zones," General Kryvax clicked his mandibles in sudden understanding. "They're not just hiding places. They're fortress worlds," Zhang nodded. "Each one contains temporal engines, reality anchors, and quantum stabilizers. We've spent 5,000 years building a galactic defense grid, but it's not complete, and we can't finish it alone. That's why we reveal ourselves now." The display changed one final time, showing the current state of the galaxy. Hundreds of human installations became visible, forming an intricate web of defensive positions. "The devourers are coming again," Chen said, "but this time, they're facing a prepared humanity and a united galaxy. We've mapped every probability, run every simulation. Fighting them, conventionally, is impossible. They simply erase any military force that opposes them. But if we can complete the defense grid in time, we can do something they won't expect. We're going to quantum lock the entire galaxy," Zhang explained. "Lock every particle, every wave, every probability into its current state. Make our entire galaxy temporally immutable. The devourers won't be able to erase what they can't change." The delegation stared in stunned silence at the scale of what humanity had prepared. 5,000 years of hidden preparation, an entire civilization dedicated to preventing an apocalypse that, from their perspective, hadn't even happened yet. "Now you understand," Chen said quietly, "why we need the Confederation. The defense grid requires precisely calculated quantum resonance from every major mass in the galaxy. We need your worlds, your people, your scientists to help complete and maintain it. We have the knowledge, but we don't have the reach or resources to implement it alone." "All this time," Vex whispered, "you weren't hiding from us. You were protecting us." "We were protecting everyone," Zhang corrected, "including ourselves. The timeline where humanity stood alone led to extinction. We chose a different path, one where the galaxy faces the threat united. The question now is, will you help us complete what we started?" 3 months after the revelation at Lunar Base Alpha, The galaxy was transforming. In every sector, human engineers worked alongside Confederation scientists, installing quantum stabilizers and temporal anchors. The Kresh Defense Force, once suspicious of human intentions, now coordinated with Earth's temporal defense fleet, their ships modified with quantum technology to help maintain the growing defense grid. Dr. Chen stood in the Confederation's new Quantum Command Center, watching as another sector turned gold on the galactic display. Another region successfully locked into temporal stability. Beside her, Chancellor Vex and Admiral Zhang monitored the progress of their greatest undertaking. 87% of critical systems are now quantum-locked. Science Minister Krull reported, his crystalline form pulsing with both excitement and anxiety. But the anomaly is accelerating, Zhang finished grimly. The massive display showed the reality devourers approaching faster than any previous model had predicted. Where they passed, the space between galaxies simply ceased to be, probability itself collapsing into nothingness. How long? Vex asked, his scales shifting in patterns of deep concern. At current speed? Chen checked her quantum calculations. They'll reach the outer rim in 72 hours. We still have 13% of the grid to complete. We won't make it in time. Krull's crystalline matrix dimmed with despair, even with every available ship and engineer. Yes, we will. A new voice interrupted. General Kryvax entered the command center, his warrior's stance radiating determination. Because we're not fighting alone anymore. The display updated, showing hundreds of new signals approaching from all directions. Ships of every Confederation species, from the crystalline vessels of the Luminide to the living ships of the Vi Collective, were converging on the incomplete sectors. Every civilization in the Confederation has sent their entire fleet, Kryvax announced. Not just military vessels, everything that can fly. Merchant ships, research vessels, private craft. Millions of volunteers, ready to help complete the grid. Chen felt her throat tighten with emotion. This was what humanity had hoped for, but never dared to expect. True unity in the face of extinction. Direct them to the critical points, Zhang ordered, his tactical mind already calculating optimal deployment patterns. We'll need perfect synchronization for this to work. The next 70 hours were a blur of activity, ships working in perfect coordination, crews pushing themselves beyond exhaustion, engineers performing miracles of quantum manipulation. Species that had once been rivals now worked as one, their combined efforts gradually filling in the gaps in humanity's great shield. When the reality devourers finally reached the galaxy's edge, they encountered something unprecedented in all their eons of consumption. Resistance. The quantum defense grid activated precisely as designed. From the core worlds to the outer rim, reality itself became anchored, every probability locked into its most stable state. The devourers' attempt to unmake history simply failed. In the command center, the assembled leaders watched as the greatest threat ever faced by intelligent life crashed against their defenses like waves against a shore. It's working, Krull pulsed with joy. They can't erase what we've locked in place. But Chen's expression remained tense. This is only the beginning. The grid is holding, but the power requirements are immense. We need to take the next step. Zhang nodded grimly. Initiate Phase 2. Throughout the galaxy, hidden devices that humanity had spent millennia preparing began to activate. The quantum grid wasn't just a shield, it was a weapon. You see, Chen explained to their allies, we learned something vital from the original timeline. The devourers aren't invincible, they're dependent on probability manipulation. By stabilizing our reality, we've done more than defend ourselves. We've created a platform from which we can reach into their non-space and affect them. The display showed new energy patterns emerging from the grid, reaching out into the void where the devourers writhed in frustration. We're not just stopping them, Zhang added. We're rewriting them, converting their probability-consuming nature into something that strengthens reality rather than unmaking it. The transformation was beautiful and terrifying to witness. Where the Devourers touched the quantum field, they began to change, their reality-consuming essence transformed into pure creative force. The defense grid isn't just a shield, Chen said softly. It's a conversion matrix. Instead of fighting the Devourers, we're making them part of our reality's fundamental structure. Hours passed as the process continued. Gradually, the threat that had haunted humanity's future memory transformed entirely. Where the Devourers had been, new stars began to form, new possibilities took root. In the command center, Chancellor Vex turned to Chen, his scales showing patterns never before seen in his species, hope mixed with awe. "You did more than save us," he said. "You showed us what we could become when we worked together. What happens now?" Chen smiled, looking at the display where former enemies had become the foundation of new creation. Now we build something new. Humanity spent 5,000 years preparing for this moment. We've prevented the end of everything. But this is just the beginning. The beginning of what? Kryvax asked. Admiral Zhang gestured to the galaxy map, where the quantum grid now pulsed with creative energy rather than defensive power. The beginning of everything we can imagine. Together.